But specifically, they were not supposed to be killed. Hand them down. If you can be able to arrest, arrest. But those guys were unarrestable. They were armed and dangerous.
Na kuna kuanga na controversy over who really killed Wanogo ama ni Rasta, because inasemekana alimuuma sio huyo. Kuna kuanga na another story behind it.
Hawa jamaa walikuwa group of 13.
The hunters.
The hunters.
Yes.
Out of 13, 9 hanged themselves.
Hey wadau manze, this is one of those episodes tunasemanga approach with an open mind.
But right now nobody is taking any responsibility, operational or administrative responsibility in the police service. Why? Orders are not coming from the police command. These orders are being issued out there by politicians. Do ABCD, do this. And because their job security yako, you do it. And then you put yourself in trouble. How did Ali escape ICC?
How?
Major General.
Our guest for this episode, George Musamali, is a former GSU officer. So leo tunapata insider information on how the unit operates. Wamelala pande ile, wanauma. So at the end of the night, ama whatever the operation is, kuna watu watakuwa wameumwa, but hautajua ni bundukia nani.
Ni ukweli. Ni ukweli. Utajua ni nani amepiga nani.
Asingekuambia hiyo story kwanza.
Ni ukweli, utajua daddy amepiga daddy. There was an exchange of fire. So in the morning you do a search.
Asingekuambia hiyo kitu.
When you search utapata mtu pale, lakini kuna ile kabisa mnapata labda nyinyi wote ni mtu ni mmoja. You all aim at that one person akiwa anatoroka.
So who will, or to confuse the enemy.
Not to confuse the enemy. Kila mtu anataka
ajui atahaunt nani.
Kila mtu anataka kupiga.
We also get to tap into his experience as a top security consultant in Kenya.
Safety catch. Ile trigger iko na pressure mbili. The first pressure does not release. The second pressure fires. Uko na time hapo ya kufikiria na uache.
Inafinya mara mbili.
Uko na time hapo ya kufikiria na uache. Hakuna kitu inaitwa straight bullet.
Hakuna reflex ati.
Hakuna reflex.
Ulifinya nini?
A bullet ikipigwa imepigwa. Somebody has fired that round and he was aiming at something. So there's a straight bullet wachana nazo.
I'm your host Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama huja subscribe, this right here is another reason to hit subscribe and turn on the notification. Nimekuambia this off camera and I'll tell you again on camera. Nimefurahi sana kukuona. Sana.
Siku nyingi.
Sana. For two reasons. One, if you did not make, I know you with time. So ukisema ni 6 inakuanga 6. So wakati ilifika 6:04 na nikakukall na ukushika nikasema I understand because umekuwa super busy for the past 2 years and I had a theory. Nikajiambia George alirudishwa system tena. But you have vehemently denied.
Yes, I can't go back to the system.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
So and now you understand the system like the back of your hand. Now one of the things zime happen. In fact I think we can root this conversation on current affairs. Kenyans were divided on social media when the blogger alikuwa amepotea, DCI wakambe produce the guy, wakasema we don't have him. Kenyans doubted, court ikasema mleteni ile siku, alafu I think before that day ama on that day the guy comes through the family lawyer akasema alikuwa amejificha because anaogopa. And then now Kenyans have been skeptical. Kuna wenye wanasema it's a shame that the guy could hide and panic people. Na kuna watu wanasema we know the system. George, hata wewe kama uko nje ya system unajua. Sasa ukipewa kandarasi uambiwe kuna jamaa anaitwa hivi, mulete. Utamuleta. Can you really hide from the system? Is it possible?
It depends. You can just disappear yourself. Lakini why are Kenyans skeptical? It's because of what happened to the 3 that were abducted from Mulolongo. And you remember Deputy IG Masengeli went to court. He was told to produce them. He said the police did not have them. Yeah. And then later, including Kibet Bull, later they were released.
Yes.
So now, ile trust between members of the public and the police imepunguka sana. It's waning. And that is very worrying. Very worrying. So anything can happen in this country. And as you've said, it's possible for you to hide from the police. If you really want to hide in this country, you can.
In this same country?
In the same country, you can just disappear yourself and live here for ages without being found.
In this same country?
Same country. There are things you just stop doing. Social media, cut yourself off from the public, go into hiding and stay quiet. Nobody will get you.
Even if, okay, so technology is technically the doom of why it's not possible to hide, but minus technology.
Minus technology, you can hide yourself. Minus technology.
Yes.
Remember for how long we looked for Matakwei? Because Matakwei was not on phone.
Matakwei the nini?
Support Land Defense Force. It took popular intelligence from members of the public, yeah, for Matakwei to be found. But otherwise, it was a difficult task.
Ulikuwa kwa system hiyo time?
No. This is quite recent. Wakati tumekuwa na hii operation ya KDF Mount Elgon. But I come from that area, so I know what happened.
So, but eventually alipatikana.
Eventually alipatikana because of popular intelligence.
What is popular intelligence?
Popular intelligence, this is information coming from members of the public, yeah, to security agencies.
Okay.
And if you look closely at what is happening in Kenya right now,
yes,
what we are lacking is that popular intelligence. Things don't just happen. Things are planned. Maandamano hupangwa. But you'll find that up to date, we are being told it's so-and-so that is financing this maandamano. It is so-and-so. And it's happening. Look at what happened in Homeboys. Yeah? Totally surprised everybody.
Yes.
They did not expect such a multitude to come out in Homeboys, carry the casket, go to the police station, burn the police station, and take the body home.
Okay.
So it tells you we have a weak link. And we can even go back up to Westgate. Why did Westgate happen? We are told because there was no actionable intelligence. Where do we get this actionable intelligence? Dusit 2, whoever planned and carried out the Dusit 2 attack was living in Wangige, in Ruaka, and he was living amongst the population. They could see, yeah, but nobody could give this information to the security apparatus. And that is why Dusit 2 happened. So in Kenya, what is lacking is popular intelligence. And why are we lacking popular intelligence is because of the poor relationship between the public and the police.
And it's worse now.
And it's worse now.
Unaona, I think when Westgate happens, I think, is it Westgate or Mpeketoni? The president then pronounced himself and said that these were the doings of local political networks.
That is what he said. I think now you get what I mean. Yeah? You see, Mpeketoni did not start yesterday. Do you know when we first had the first military camp in Mpeketoni? 1968. Mahali inaitwa Baragoni. We have a military barrack there. The first GSU contingent to be sent to Mpeketoni, to Lamu, was in 1970. Based themselves at a place called Mokoe.
Yes.
Now we have a naval base. Those years when I was there, we were dealing with people called bandits, crossing from Ras Kamboni in Somalia, using the cut lines, getting to Lake Kenyatta settlement scheme, carrying out the attacks and back to Somalia. And then that ikabadilika with the coming in of the Al-Shabaab.
Okay.
And I remember that time when I was asked, I said, this is the handwork of the Al-Shabaab, not local politics per se. Because this is something that has been there for quite some time.
Okay.
Si ati tumeanza kudeal na hivi karibuni.
Okay.
Waona? Na hizi vitu zikifanyika, people see, but do they talk?
But why would the president make such a comment kama there is something he doesn't know?
It means president pia wale watu wanampatia hizi habari za kijasusi, they're giving him wrong information.
There's nothing like, because I have watched a lot of movies. There's nothing like, he said what he said, he probably had action, he had probably had accurate intelligence, akafinywa mahali.
You see, there's something we call propaganda. Propaganda is also a weapon. Huwezi kubali tu useme ni Al-Shabaab. Manake utakuwa umewapa ile
you would have given
legitimacy.
Credit,
Unaonyesha kwamba wako na wanaweza fanya carry out this attack. So let us say it's not Al-Shabaab. Tusiwapatie hiyo weapon ya propaganda. No. Tuzungumzie tu tuseme this is local politics and you politicians will deal with you and then things go quiet. Unajua? So kwa hivyo pia wao labda walicheza mchezo wa vita vya propaganda. Unaona? Kwamba to water down that attack. Kwamba Shababu wasijisifu, lakini walijisifu.
Okay, sawa. So now, when it comes to security, it's a very sensitive topic, okay? But where you've watched, part of the reason we're having this conversation is the relationship between the police and civilians ni normal, say, evidently, okay? People should trust the police, should go to the police, but then again, we've seen the happenings zenye zimekuwa happen. So, where you come from a background of, and first, asante sana for making time for us. You come from a background of, you were in GSU when GSU was GSU. Sasa hii iko na reforms. Hii bado wanaenda kukwel maandamano, lakini sasa iko na reforms. If we were to just lay ground on how you get there to paint a picture of what the system has been, how do you join? Like, why did you first of all decide to join, and why GSU for that matter?
Joining hiyo, I had no option. Kwamba nitaenda GSU ama nitaenda general duty police.
Okay.
We had no option. Ya kwamba you go for a recruitment. We have 2 teams, one from the GSU, the other one from the Kenya Police. You go to Kiganjo, GSU, you go to GSU Training School in Embakasi. So it's a decision that is made by the recruitment panel. Kwamba sisi tunaona tunataka fulani na fulani na fulani, hawa ni wetu. Hawa na fulani na fulani na fulani, endeni Kiganjo. So me, I found myself in the GSU.
You get chosen. Okay,
you get recruited.
You get recruited,
yes,
at a very young age, 18. First of all, a GSU officer, pale Kiganjo, you go through normal police training ama ukishaingia?
GSU haukanyagi Kiganjo. GSU utakuja uende Kiganjo wakati ile kitu tulikuwa naita, we call it conversion. You see, in the GSU, you are not trained on things of law and whatever. Basically, you are a paramilitary officer, you're going to deal with bandits, you're going to deal with rioters. So that is the kind of training that you receive there. You're not trained on things like the penal code, things like the criminal procedure code, or how to arrest King Uri and take him to court. No. No. So that is purely paramilitary training.
Okay.
So once you get to that age that they want you out of the GSU, that is after 6 years of service,
yes,
if you're not promoted, then you go to Kiganjo, for that conversion. Now you're going to be converted now to be a normal police officer.
To reduce the violence.
To reduce the violence in you.
Hey.
So pale ndio unaenda unafundishwa mambo ya law, unafundishwa how to make an arrest. GSU tulikuwa tuambie kushika mtu. In fact, if you are arrested by a GSU officer ukipelekwa station, they do a rearrest. It's like umeshikwa na raia. Yes.
Okay, you could arrest someone.
You could arrest someone.
But if you arrest someone,
he will be rearrested because you don't know the procedure of arrest. Because
so they will take the person back wamshike afresh.
No, utamfikisha station. What they'll do a rearrest, and that rearrest comes with a caution.
Okay.
Najua, you are hereby. Yeah? Usiseme chochote.
Okay.
Lakini ukisema, itatumika kama ushahidi.
Okay.
So if that caution is not administered, then that arrest becomes unlawful.
Okay.
Ona.
Okay.
Sasa GSU hizo vitu zote tulikuwa tufunzwi.
Okay. And George, your period hapa ni short and straight. You unaingia, you train, and then you become a trainer almost immediately. Right?
You don't become a trainer almost immediately. Unajua, ni lazima uwe na your talent to be an instructor. Unaona? Unaenda, we were in a class of 32 during our promotional course. Out of these 32, they took only 3 of us to be instructors.
Okay.
Talent spotting.
Sasa hiyo talent ndio. For you, uingie kwa regular police recruitment na waseme, huyu acha tumpeleke kwa violence. What are they looking for?
Haiwezekani. Because wale wakienda wana training yao ni tofauti. It's more geared to public service as opposed to the GSU. You see, the GSU are the muscle of the police.
But there's something
a tool of last resort. Nowadays, naonanga GSU wanakuwa deployed kila wakati. But during our time, you will be taken to, kama Sabasaba. Let me give you an example ya Sabasaba. I was there.
1990.
Nilikuwa nimepass out.
So hiyo unaingia soko.
Hiyo Sabasaba, GSU tulienda tukawekwa Shauri Moyo Police Station. wengine wakawekwa Kamukunji, group ingine ikawekwa Central, not to be seen by the public. There was no exposure.
You are a surprise element.
You are a surprise element. Polisi wa kawaida, shikeni doria. Once mumeshindwa, communicate. We need support from the GSU. They withdraw and the GSU takes over. So there is accountability. Ni nani walifanya nini?
No mixing.
No mixing.
Hakuna kufanya kazi.
Accountability. You are under a platoon commander. A platoon commander, you will have 32 officers under you. Out of these 32, only 2 carry live ammunition. 20, that is 40 for a platoon.
Yes.
And this ammunition will be used on orders. We've seen so and so, ndiye anaongoza hii maandamano at the knees. We call it controlled volley fire. Controlled.
Hiyo ni risasi.
Risasi.
Ya magoti.
Ya magoti. Na umeelezwa. And once you shoot that character, nyinyi wenyewe mko na first aider. He will go administer first aid and take that fellow to hospital. That is there in black and white in the books.
So wakati, a lot to unpack from hapo. So now, wakati mumeingia Saurimao police station, you are hiding.
We were hiding.
But you are praying and hoping. Polisi washindwe na kazi. Otherwise mtakuwa mmetoka bure.
Si mara ya kwanza sisi kutoka bure. Nakumbuka tulienda kwenda kuzika Alexander Muge, Eldoret. Bishop. We expected violence. Nothing happened. Tulikuwa tumefichwa Moi Girls. Tukaketi siku 3, wakati mazishi yaliisha, tukaondoka tukarudi zetu Nairobi. We were not a tool of violence. Manake sisi mafunzo yetu yalikuwa ni maalum. Na wakati huo there was order. You cannot loop a tear gas canister without orders from your commander. So that kesho kitu kikifanyika ataulizwa wewe ndio ulikuwa na hii platoon. Nani alipeana amri ya kupiga risasi? Nani alipeana amri ya kutumia tear gas?
Command responsibility.
Command responsibility. Saa hizi mtu anazungumzia mambo ya command responsibility.
But George, hizo vitu unasema they just look like things that are good on paper because how do you process huyu jamaa anapiga?
They are not good on paper. We did it practically. Practically. Munaondoka, munaambiwa this platoon is under Inspector so and so. You are even told the equipment you're supposed to have. How many, we used to call them baton parties. Watu wa rungu na ngao. Nani atapewa tear gas? Nani atabeba gas gun? Who will be the first aider? You go out there, you meet members of the public. If they retreat, tumeenda university mara ngapi? Students wana retreat, wanaenda kwa hostels. We don't follow them in. Unaachia hapo. We were that professional.
So now how do you process, knowing those are the rules, okay, on paper, how do you process ukiona scene kama the police officer who shot the hooker point blank?
I mean, it's so sad. It should not happen. And up to now, how askari tu, wawili ndio wamefikishwa mahakamani, but there's nobody who has taken command responsibility. Who was in charge of that group? Who gave the orders to shoot? Okay. Do we have what we call operational plans for that day? What did they stipulate? Who was supposed to be where? Hapo tulikuwa na cocktail of officers. You cannot identify nani ametoka wapi.
Which should not be the case.
Which should not be the case.
GSU should not mix with.
No.
Na hata hatujafika kwa goons. Kwani how far did the system follow?
Hatujafika kwa goons. Waelewa?
Yes.
And that is why unasikia kila wakati mtu anakuambia stories za stray bullet. Hakuna kitu inaitwa stray bullet. When we were training these people tulikuwa tukiwaambia, when you cock your gun, yeah, safety catch, ile trigger iko na pressure mbili. The first pressure does not release. The second pressure fires. Uko na time hapo ya kufikiria na uache.
Inafinya mara mbili.
Mara mbili. Uko na time hapo ya kufikiria na uache. Hakuna kitu inaitwa stray bullet.
Hakuna reflex ati.
Hakuna reflex.
Ulifinya nini?
A bullet ikipigwa imepigwa. Somebody has fired that round. And he was aiming at something. So there's a stray bullet, wachana nazo.
Nimejua kwa nini walikuwa wanasema GSU kila mtu ni sharpshooter. I think ni wewe uliniambia ama ni OCS Wanyama. Mimi for the first sijaijua ati risasi iko na 2 layers.
Iko na 2 layers
za decision.
Yes. Lazima ufikirie. So hizi vitu mnaona saa hizi zikifanyika, I mean, na ndio zinalete bad blood between the public and the police. Najua. Na watu ni lazima pia waangalie historia ya polisi.
Okay.
Where did we start?
Yes.
1900, this is when we first had the first Kenyan local police to be recruited was in 1900. Na wakati hiyo nchi ilikuwa inaitwa British East African Limited. It was a company. So kazi yao was to protect masilahi ya those Britons that were here, the colonizers. They were businessmen then, they had come. And then later we had the Kenyan Protectorate. No. Hiyo evolution, pole pole. Then we had the colonial police, And then we had the chiefs. We decided now, say, the police will not work with the chiefs. Let us have the AP.
Yes.
Tribal police, they called them tribal police.
Yes.
Now to work with the chief, to enforce the Chief Act. And then we remain with the police now to deal with the penal code, penal offenses. Ona?
Yes.
So hiyo sura ambayo tulikuwa nayo from 1900 tukakuja during emergency. GSU started in 1948.
Yes.
And wakati huo haikuwa inaitwa GSU, ilikuwa inaitwa emergency. Unaona?
Yes.
So GSU ilikuja kabadilishwa in 1968. That is why now we changed the name to the General Service Unit.
Yes.
After attaining independence.
Yes.
So ukiangalia, after the colonialists left, the face of the police remained the same. We were training the police the same way they were being trained during the colonial time. The same manuals that were used during the colonial period. Unaona? And that face is what that face of the police is what is still there today to the members of the public. People don't look at a policeman as a person who is there to offer services. They look at a policeman as a person who is here to oppress me. Unaona?
Okay.
So, hiyo evolution tumekuwa nayo, we've still remained the same. And you see, me, I look at the police as a vessel, kama ship.
Okay.
We've tried to reform the police. This is a ship that set sail in 1900. Iko high seas huko inaelekea.
Yes.
And sasa unajaribu ukarabati ukiwa katikati ya bahari.
Ikiwa in operation.
Yes. Inakuwa ni ngumu. There are people here wale wanataka kusabotage meli sink. Kuna mtu wako kwa hiyo meli, yeye kazi yake tu ni kupora pale ndani. Kuna mwingine hana nidhamu, baharia. Ona. Now it becomes a tall order. And vile umeuliza kwamba the relationship between the members of the public and the police, mbona inakuwa ni mbovu? That is the reason. We are trying to reform a sailing ship. No. And then we don't have reformists inside that ship, and then we lack what we call political goodwill.
Political goodwill.
Yes.
Wewe when you join na unasema, like when you go to Shauri Moyo na unasema, let's say for example, you're hoping, polisi waende kwanza, wakilimwa you come through.
Yes.
Kwa akili yangu inakuanga wild, so hata nashangaa wakirudi, what are you talking about? Mmeshindwa na kazi. Like wakili yangu inaendelea vitu mob, sasa wacha wanaume waingie.
Unajua kwamba maandamano iko na stages.
Yes.
Kuna ile inaanzanga ikiwa peaceful protest.
Yes.
Watu wamekuja wamekusanyika Kamkunji, people just congregated pale, wakaongojea viongozi wao wakuja wafanye nini?
Yes.
Wahutubie.
Yes.
And then somebody somewhere akasema disperse.
Mtu tu akasema.
Polisi wale walikuwa pale wakasema.
That's the 1997.
Yes.
Okay.
Disperse.
Yes.
People did not disperse. Wakaanza vurumai, they arrested Shikuku, they arrested Orengo, all that kind of shit. And then what happened later is that they overwhelmed the police.
Yes.
And for their own safety, the police had to withdraw.
They did not run away.
They did not run
That's
away.
a very careful choice of language.
So they withdraw, wakarudi station.
Yes.
That is where now we were told, can you go and support these people? No. There was that order.
Can you go and support?
Go and support.
Okay.
There was that order now. Kwamba hawa wamelemewa, wewe peleka watu wako sasa.
Support ni tusaidiane, but yenu ni nyi rudini.
Sisi
wacha tuingie.
Unajua sasa wale wakishalemewa vile, unajua sasa these people, hizi group ziko under two different commands.
Yes.
So hata yule ambaye anasimamia wale polisi hataki kutake responsibility ikiwa mambo yataharibika kama yanavyofanyika hivi sasa.
Okay.
So you leave this operation 100% to the GSU. So if things go haywire and we need some explanation, we will know who to
Na the number that replaces the regular police from the GSU ni the same, ama nyinyi ni 1 GSU officer equal 10 police officers?
Sisi unajua ile mafunzo tulikuwa tumepewa, even one section can deal with more than 100 people. Why? That time there was respect for the GSU. Hata mwananchi alikuwa anaambiwa GSU
wachana na hiyo mchezo,
ni FFU. Wakifika, they don't have time to discuss things with you.
Yes.
Unaona? Ni kuwafurusha na muondoke. Na uzuri, watu walikuwa wakitoroka, you don't follow, unaachana na wao.
Oh, nyinyi ni kuuza uoga. Like,
sisi ni kuuza uoga.
We are here to make you
yes.
run. But kuna Wakenya pia, they volunteer to be victims. They wait to see mutafanya nini.
Ni vigumu sana. Na wacha tu nikuhakikishie kitu kimoja. Wale watu wengi ujeurio wakati wa maandamano are not the protesters. Ni wewe tu unaona mimi siko kwa maandamano. Unajipeleka pale, mimi siko kwa maandamano. Mimi nitajuaje wewe hauko kwa maandamano?
Oh, where you are innocent.
Wewe unasema mimi niko innocent.
Hata GSU does not know innocent.
Hata umekuja umeinua mikono. Yeah? But these guys have been told, disperse these people forcefully. Because there is the word of forcefully.
Hakuna surrender ati.
Hakuna surrender, people waende. Now you'll find the rioters, the protesters, huwa wanapigana nyinyi ile vita ya kusonga wakienda. Mkiwafuata wanasonga, mkiwafuata wanasonga. Yes. So wale wengine bystanders ndio wanapatikana.
So most people who suffer are innocent, and that's
most people who suffer are innocent. Look at that girl who was shot in Kiambu.
Yeah.
Was she out there demonstrating?
No.
Look at this young man who was shot in Kangemi.
Yes.
Alienda kazi na akaambiwa rudi nyumbani. He fell victim. Okay. Innocently believing like mimi siko maandamano. Lakini waandamanaji wenyewe walikuwa kule juu.
So first of all, don't operate na hiyo mindset ati I'm innocent.
Don't operate with that mindset. Wakati nasemekana there's a protest na watu wanakuwa forcefully pushed out, wewe jichukulie njia zako, nenda zako.
Okay. And is there some form of enjoyment when sasa you are actually doing your job? You're doing what you've been paid for. Iyo sasa kudisperse sasa au the nini. What goes on into the mind of an officer affecting the law? Do you now have the liberty to choose your victims? Ama ni mtu yote amekutana na?
You don't have the liberty to choose your victims.
Ni kufagia tu.
Ni kufagia watu waende. Ona. Na that's why I told you, kuna kazi zingine ambazo haziwezi fanywa na mzazi kama mimi. Manake sasa mimi nitafikiria. Okay. Is that son of mine? Kama yule mama alikutana na kijana yake pale kwa maandamano.
Kuna mama alikutana na kijana wake?
Si ndio, hata wakapiga selfie.
Askari?
Yes.
Okay.
Walipiga selfie.
Yes.
Sasa wewe, huyo ni mzazi, atakabiliana na namna gani na waandamanaji? Ndio kwa sababu nakwambia ile bracket ya GSU ilikuwa imepangwa hivyo, wakijua hawa ile paternal responsibility hawana. Yeye ni kwenda tu piga watu, piga wanafunzi wa university waondoke.
Na sasa kama agenda yako ni kutaka mtu aondoke, kuna kitu ulituexplain ukasema wanalima huku joints na magoti. Huyo ni mtu anataka uende kweli? Sio ni mtu anataka ukae hapo?
Sasa wewe kwanza ulipatikanaje hapo? Hiyo ndio swali.
Advance retreat. Okay. So before ifike hapo, there are preventive measures, and I'll jump the gun tukuje hapa mbele now. There are some tactics zenye zimetumika na serikali, we assume, to actually kama abductions. They have been a big deal, right? Do these strategies work? Is it as a security strategy?
From where I sit, they don't work.
How so?
What happens is they are hardening the people. And when we talk about these abductions, you see the difference between now and during Moi's time. Moi had the luxury of detention without trial.
Yes.
So they could arrest you and tell your people we've arrested him and he has been detained. Kesho asubuhi magazetini, detention order imekuwa gazetted. So and so has been detained legally. So there's no going back and saying that this is an illegal detention because it was declared. Right now, the current government and the previous governments after the 2010 constitution do not have that luxury. And that is why you are seeing all these illegal abductions. Okay. And then they don't want to accept and say, yes, it's us who have him. Yeah? So that luxury was removed. And that is why now you find they're using this abduction tactic. And for me, it's not working. It's alienating the people. Yeah? That bad blood between the police and the people is now growing bigger. You know,
okay, now what it's alienating people because people know it's against the law.
It's against the law, and it's against the spirit of the 2010 Constitution about having a service, not a force. We've given this police service that force
Yes.
face
Yes.
by now coming up with these 2014 security bills.
Okay.
People had envisioned an independent police service, a service that will be out here to serve the people.
Now, is there special training for an officer who carries out abductions?
I mean, these are just rogue officers, all the same. There's no special training. As much as we are talking, we don't have direct evidence linking the police to the abductions because they have denied. And even the people that were abducted, when they get out of that place, they don't talk. So we don't know who is doing the abductions. As much as we are pointing that finger at the police.
Okay.
You get?
Yes.
So there's no complainant so far. Mimi na wewe ndio tunasema these abductions are the work of the police.
So I withdraw that.
But do we have a complainant who will come out and say?
I withdraw.
But me and you know, yes, it's being done by the government, but who?
So I withdraw. It is not the police. Then if the government knows that there are abductions, it's been a scandal. The president has on record akasema wale watu wameabductiwa wamerudishwa. You understand?
That is acceptance.
That's acceptance.
Yes.
So it is the government.
It is the government, but which arm of government is doing this?
Oh, so that's now
that is now the question now. Security agencies ni nyingi. We have the NSIS, it's independent from the Kenya Police.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Under the police, we have the DCI, we have the GSU, we have the APS. Katika APS kuna vitengo pia kadha wa kadha pale. Waona? So mpaka sasa ingawa tunanyosha vidole vya lawama, hatujapata kihakika ni nani anayetekeleza hizi abductions. Probably in future we'll know. Because even the person who was torturing people at Nyayo House, after Moi left office, we knew they were named by people.
So hey, sasa hiyo ina complicate hiyo swali because so now if you can't tell who it is, you can't discuss the mindset.
You can't discuss the mindset. But this is a political persecution that was there during Moi's time. Okay. And we are going back there. Because if you look at the way, these are targeted abductions. They're not just targeting me or anybody, but they are targeted abductions, especially the bloggers that are critical to the system. That points a finger to the government.
Okay. Now, going back to your time, you come from an era where hata nashangaa at GSU ilikuwa na such strict rules in terms of how they operate. So as someone who is serving the system then, right? Kulikuwa tena na, acha niite kitengo, another branch, and it was almost accepted that the government has killer squads, right? Sindio? Ukiwa kwa system unaserve, what is your view of the idea that there are people who, sasa sisi ni wa marungu, lakini kuna watu wakikushika you disappear for good.
Unajua nategemea how these operations are carried out.
Okay.
And I know you're talking about our days, the flying squad.
Sikwekwe, temenu sikweke.
The original squad that started to hunt down these armed gangsters was the flying squad.
Okay.
Waelewa?
Yes.
And why was the flying squad created? Because we had people out here who were armed, targeting people, carjackings, and when they get you, you don't discuss anything. And these people, you see, even targeted killing is allowed even by the Geneva Convention of 1945.
Targeted killings.
Yes. And it clearly states that any person that you feel is a threat to national security and cannot be legally arrested, you can eliminate.
Cannot be legally arrested.
Yes.
There are
so
danger.
it was not possible for the police then to arrest Wanugu. He was dangerous and armed. It was not possible kupata ile mtu ingine alikuwa anaitwa Rasta. In fact, he died shooting at the police.
It was not possible because they have declared that they will never be arrested. The police do not have the capacity to arrest
them. Walikuwa wamesema we will die fighting. So wewe mwenyewe umesha declare. Na mimi najua uko na bunduki. Look at what happened in a place inaitwa Paponditi. Police went to arrest a suspect, and the suspect was hiding in a house, armed. And when they knocked the door, wakamwambia fungua, he killed 4 police officers and disappeared to date.
What are you saying?
Yes.
Mpaka leo.
Mpaka leo.
But see, they knew.
That is 2 years ago.
Hii story ya kitambo.
2 years ago. So hizi squads ziliwekwa pale. These are not killer squads. They are special police units formed for a certain purpose, but to deal with violent criminals. Because ukiangalia, there was nowhere that Wanugu was arrested and then got killed.
But sasa the Wanugu story is complicated because it is later inakuja kusemekana that he had help from inside the police. Another one that is quite detailed, an officer anaitwa Bernard Kirenya. I think I've asked you about him before. He details in a story, in a document shared online, that the guy Madheri was also a known gangster. He alienda kukua arrested. And when they confirmed that they had cornered him, I think the wife convinced the guy to surrender. Akatoka na akalala chini. A senior police officer calls, right, and orders to make sure, or gives orders for the guy to be shot na asikie.
Unajua what happens is that even in the police we have rogue elements. Unaona?
Yes.
Na wale wao hutaka kufanya kazi yao vile wao wenyewe wanataka, lakini masharti yapo. Unaona? Nobody gives instructions to go and kill unless it's a targeted killing, the way I've told you. Unless it's a targeted killing. No. But of late, you'll find that even the flying squad, why was it disbanded? It became wrong. Ikawa ni kwamba askari pale wanafanya vile kila mtu kile chake anavyofikiria mwenyewe. They turned their guns against each other. Wao wenyewe.
They turned their guns against each other because kuna two versions hapa. Inasemekana the so-called, acha tuziite special squads, okay? Inasemekana the officers who served in them, all of them are either in jail or they got killed. Like it's the sasa let me mix a reference ya real life na movie. Kwa movie when someone sends someone aende aume mtu to tie loose ends, hata yana tuma.
Unajua ile ya kusema waliwawa, nafikiri you are referring to these people that dealt with the Mungikis.
That's Kwekwe Squad.
That is Kwekwe Squad na Special Crime Prevention Unit. Hao watu waligeukana. Na kugeukana kwao ni kwa sababu ya uhalifu. Walikuwa wamejiingiza kwa uhalifu. They were using ile nafasi walipewa katika kazi ya hizo units kuanza kufanya nini? Uhalifu wenyewe kwa wenyewe. And that is why you remember Seroni. Why was he shot? Same reason. Same reason. Sasa ndio unaona
aligeuziwa na fellow police officers.
Yes, kwa nini? Alikuwa na wazuia kutekeleza uhalifu. Yes, that's a fact.
So is it to say that that's almost like an inevitable end for the special units kwa sababu once you get that much power to decide whether someone lives or dies, you're bound to go overboard?
They went overboard. They went overboard because we have people right now that were in those units who are still alive and working. You interviewed Wanyama, he was part of the flying squad. Yeah?
Aye.
Wako. Wale ambao walifuata sheria kutekeleza kazi zao. Unajua, Kingori, you cannot wake up in the morning and decide that I'm going to kill so and so.
But people do that.
They do that when this element has become dangerous. I've told you, he has become a threat to national security.
Na,
and there is no way unaweza enda sema unaweza mshika bro. You remember Cheriot? That guy that was shot dead in Zimmerman. Aliweka polisi pale a whole day.
I remember that story. I remember reading the article.
Yes.
But sasa I got confused. Your friend Ani Chemorei, right? Aliumwa na ikasemekana kwa gazeti article that he was a gangster and guns found. All right? Later, Moha does a documentary and finds that alichezwa na ilikuwa political. The guy was innocent. How do we know this other guy, pia, it's not the same story? Cheruiyot.
Unajua mhalifu hujulikana. Chemorei, huyo, that was collateral damage. Unaona? He was at the right place at the wrong time. Lakini huyu mwingine historia yake inajulikana. Remember, these people, they act with intelligence. There are people who collect this information, come and say, now, how did we know about Wanugu and Washosho and Rasta?
Tumepoteza watu kidogo, because mimi na wewe tunajua details za hizi story. Okay? Tuwapeleke polepole. Ama mimi hata naweza kuwa sijui details zote. So, to the best of your knowledge, what happens with the guy? He was a CID officer actually, Cheruiyot. I remember the story.
Yes.
Daniel Cheruiyot.
Daniel Cheruiyot.
For it to get to a place yenye they decide to come for a DCI officer, inamaanisha huyu ni mtu hata kujiprotect na system imekuwa ngumu.
Huyo alikuwa ametoka kazi. Cheruiyot alikuwa amefutwa kwa sababu ya uhalifu. By the time alikuja kutafutwa, he was a civilian. Na tayari walikuwa wamefanya uchunguzi, and he was implicated in several violent crimes. So they were following intel, actionable intel, and they were told this guy is armed, and he was armed.
Kuna kitu umesema inaitwa targeted killings. Juzi, I quoted a post on Twitter. Like someone said, ati so and so has been threatened that the government may kill him. Alafu, a guy, anaitwa Osama, I'll just say it because the tweet is public, I quoted it. Akasema, oh, he's not important enough. So my concern was, oh, the government kills people on merit, like you have to qualify to.
I mean, you see some things you see on social media is just propaganda.
Yes.
But we cannot say it does not happen. We've seen people being killed here. Yes. We saw Robert Oko being killed. Yes. Tom Mboya was killed for political reasons. Pio Gama Pinto, Agwings Kodek. I mean, our history is littered with this kind of killings, politically targeted victims, yeah? Yes. And we cannot say it cannot happen again. Yeah? We've made the stakes politically so high that people will decide to eliminate others just to remain in political office or in power. We are seeing MCS doing the same. We are seeing MPs targeting people in the villages. Yeah? We've seen senators targeting people in the villages. Because of the stakes, we've made them so high. So we cannot rule out this cannot happen. It can happen, yes. Yeah? But it becomes dangerous when now it's the system that is directly doing that.
So now, when in the context of targeted killing, when an order comes, imesha kuja, there's no mtu akiokoka hapo katikati, like if you find Jesus katikati, is that a consideration?
That's a consideration. And that's why if you look at how the Americans operate, yeah? Yes. When they have a targeted killing, they go to that Oval Office. You remember when they were looking for Gaddafi? It is the president that announced to the public that we got him. When they were going for Saddam Hussein, not Saddam, Saddam.
Osama.
Even Saddam. It was announced by the president in the Oval Office. That is how targeted killings are supposed to work. We have the National Security Council. They are supposed to sit down, agree, and then we have this is documented. We are looking for so-and-so. He has become a threat to national security. We've tried to arrest him. It is not possible. Somebody should take responsibility. And that is what the Americans do. The president himself takes responsibility and says, yes, we have Osama.
So the responsibility is a very interesting word hapa. When you said watu wakienda kwa protest, people have an array of weapons to choose from, yes. Right? And sahi kwa
not
kawaida,
to choose from. You don't have that luxury of choosing.
Hauta kusema leo najisikia na tear gas.
No. Munapangwa, the platoon commander says, so and so you'll be baton parties. And you're even given numbers, baton party number 1, baton party number 2, baton party number 3.
Inaitwa
and
party.
Even the team that inapewa hiyo baton party, kila mtu anapewa namba yake. You are named.
Inaitwa party?
Yes. That is a section 999.
Okay.
So, and that baton party is under a corporal. So if anything happens in that section, the corporal will take responsibility. Administrative responsibility. And we even told how you're supposed to be armed. Iko watu watapewa ngao na shield and baton,
Yes.
Iko watu watapewa tear gas na inaandikwa kwa vitabu, George ndiye amepewa tear gas. Iko mtu atapewa gas gun, 2 gas guns. Wacha inaona kila mtu anapiga 2 gas gunners and then 2 riflemen, na kila mtu anakuwa labeled.
Na ukipewa rifle it means you are prepared for the possibility that on that day you may take someone's life.
Riflemen always work with the platoon commander. They don't roam about the way I'm seeing things happening now. They are always there with the platoon commander.
Oh, so platoon commander anasema uma ule.
Platoon commander ndiye anasema uma ule, and he can be able to justify why. Sijui kama unanipata hapo.
I'm following.
He can be able to justify why.
Okay.
Why did you use the gas gun? Platoon commander should be responsible. Why did you use tear gas? George, tulikupatia tear gas. Who gave you orders kuitumia? Order must come from your section commander, as your baton party, or it should come from the platoon commander.
Na order lazima itoke kwa polisi, ama when you find for an maandamano like za Azimio when they were on the streets, the demand for tear gas was high. Wananchi wanataka. Must you wait for the police, ama you can say it was due to popular demand?
Sasa popular demand, wewe unaweza niambiaje nikupige tear gas?
No, so you know Kenyans.
I know Kenyans, lakini askari huwa amefunzwa. Unafunzwa jinsi ya kutumia tear gas wakati gani, na huwa inatumika wakati kuna amri kutoka kwa msimamizi yo team.
Na the training is sufficient. Unajua former police spokesman Charles Owino alikuwa anatetea the officer mwenye alishoot Boniface Kariuki akisema the guy ati alimtukana. So kumtukana,
that is not justifiable. Yes, wa kwanza kutukanwa. Sisi tulitukanwa na watoto wa university tukiwa kwa Ruri.
Na uwezi shuka umwambie hebu nyonya hiki.
Hata yule walikuja mmeketi mmenyamaza, and it was a lady akasema tumenyamaza. One of us akasema mimi, akaambia mjinga wewe. Akijaribu kushuka tukamwambia huyu mtoto amesema amekutaja, amekupoint wewe.
Oh, alikuwa anataka ateremke na yeye
hapo. But we said no. Part of the training is to control your emotions.
George, twende pole pole. Unaona kuna kitu hapa ya askari mnakuanga na, unaona hiyo kuna unity ya you'd want to show the civilian wewe ni nani naturally, because there is a unity unspoken ya police is actually spoken. Hata now that ati a police officer gets harassed ama akitoka mbio, mnakuanga na unwritten code ya revenge. So is this because na hiyo time hata hakuna cameras, so in principle you're trained for violence but you hold the violence until ifike mahali pa kuitumia?
Hiyo ni ukweli. Manake umefunzwa, mafunzo umepewa, umetusiwa na instructors, all kind of names to prepare you for this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Unaanza matusi naanzanga kwa gate. Ukiingia. Yes. Now sasa wewe you become emotionally prepared ya kwamba if I go out there, kama nimetusiwa hapa, nikifika kule nje hata mwananchi akinitusi, it's normal.
But that's actually hiyo inaijaza, because hata si ukiona kwa movies za training nini
unakuwa emotionally prepared for the kind of world you're going to meet out there.
Okay.
The kind of people you're going to deal with out there. Unaona? So huyu askari ambaye alimpiga Boniface, I don't believe alikuwa amepata mafunzo ya kutosha. And if he was acting, he was acting out of emotions.
Okay.
Which is not supposed to be like that for a trained police officer.
So askari akikupiga vita wakati amekufikia as a victim like a volunteer victim mwenye amepatikana, it's not personal.
It's not personal. Lakini saa hizi tatizo ambalo tuko nalo, we've started personalizing these issues. Unaona? Yani we've made it look like it's the police.
Side of the police.
It's the police against us. Hiyo ndio sura ambayo inajitokeza hivi sasa.
Okay.
It's the police against us. Mwananchi akimwona polisi amemwona adui. Polisi akimwona mwananchi saizi raia amemwona adui.
Na would you blame people kama watu wanasema wanaona goons wakiattack watu na polisi wako hapo and they are not doing anything?
Kingori, that is what we are trying to fight now. Politicalization of the police. The police is supposed to be independent. Police are not supposed to take instructions or orders from outside the police command and the National Security Council. Strictly. But here, we've made it look like the police is there to serve the political class. What the political class says is what they will do. I heard somebody, a politician, saying, Sakaja hatutaruhusu goons waingie town. Kesho yake tuko na vijana wa mipini. Deployed alongside the police. This is not the first time. Remember, a few years ago, we had what we called the Nairobi Business Community.
Yes.
They operated this in a similar way.
Yes.
Now, me, when I'm a police officer, na naona kazi yangu ndio nikwe kazini, depends on the politicians, the will of the politicians. Then sindasema bora afya. Why should I be victimized tomorrow? So wacha mimi nichunge unga. Let them do what they want to do. And that is exactly how Haiti got where it is right now. Wacha nichunge unga. Okay.
Now, here's another perfect example ya why the trust is eroding. Governor Natembea pronounced himself. Akasema kuna siku Emruadiki MP alikuwa ameshikwa. And wakati alikuwa ameshikwa, they had to remove him from that station. Ulisema Baton Party. Baton ni rungu. Baton ni rungu. Sasa kwa hii yeye ameshikwa, kumbe kulikuwa there's another Baton Party. Kuna maafisa walikuwa, sijui kama ni maafisa, sijui whoever those people are. Walikuwa wanakuja, I don't think I have the vocabulary for this, but walikuwa wakuja wampige Baton Party usiku. So wakahamishwa. This is Natembea. Natembea is a former Rift Valley regional commander. So inside a police cell, okay, what could have happened? He could have, an MP could have been sodomized. You understand?
Yes.
When people wanasikia vitu kama hizi, this is a case yenye Natembea aliongea. So who knows how much of this goes on? Nimewahi sikia hiyo rumors za watu wanapiga hizo makandarasi. How can people trust?
Ufanyika because people wame-personalize kazi ya polisi. And I mean, we are trading in very dangerous waters right now. Because ikifika kiwango ambapo sasa, look at the case of Albert.
Yes.
Yeah? In fact, the offense he committed was a misdemeanor if there was any offense. It was not a felony. This is a petty offense where you can be summoned na ujilete kwa station na mkae chini, you get interrogated and you are released on police bond or free bond. But you had to send a special group from DCI headquarters to go and pick him all the way from Homeboys and bring him to Nairobi. Yet clearly there was no complainant.
But there was. Si walisema the Deputy Inspector General had complained.
Complained to who? Ask yourself that question. The law is very clear. You have a complaint against you, I visit the nearest police station, I make a formal complaint, it's booked in the occurrence book, minuted to the OCS. The OCS will appoint an IO, an investigating officer. So if it is not in any OB, that complaint has not been made.
If it's not in any OB, it's not recognized.
In a gazetted police station.
So you also,
I cannot write a letter. It's just like writing a letter to your girlfriend, complaining. Is that making a formal complaint? Is that official?
Yes.
That's exactly what happened. And that's why nimekwambia, haya matatizo ambayo tunayashuhudia hivi sasa, ni matatizo ambayo tuliyaona wakati wa wakoloni, when people were being put in concentration camps by the police.
Now, for these tactics kama hizo za kukuwa na a team that can punish people politically inside the police cells beyond what the law requires. Does this mean, like, is this an impression, yeah, the law is not enough to punish certain offenses, that they have to go overboard outside the law?
I mean, we have politicalized the police, and that is why such things are happening. Unaona? Na ndio nimekurudisha kwa historia nikakwambia mwaka 2007 na 8 what we saw during post-election violence, yeah, ilisababishwa na mambo kama haya ambayo tunadiscuss hivi sasa. Na tukaja na tukawa na tume mbili, the Working Commission and the Kriegler Commission. They made recommendations and said, if you people want to have a stable government, a stable country, yeah, iwe crime ni ile ya penal code peke yake, then you need to delink the police, yeah, from the executive, from the politicians. Make them independent. So that if I make a decision at this level, yeah, I can take personal responsibility for that decision. But right now, nobody is taking any responsibility, operational or administrative responsibility in the police service. Why? Orders are not coming from the police command. These orders are being issued out there by politicians. Do ABCD, do this, do this. And because your job security yako, you do it. And then you put yourself in trouble. How did Ali escape ICC?
How?
Major General.
How?
He was the commissioner of police. But when he went there, he said, I was not in command. We had one arm of the police that was not reporting to me. The APs then were not reporting to the commissioner of police.
The APs then were not reporting to the commissioner of police. So
they were reporting to a commandant at Harambee House.
And this is where I think tribalism comes in. And this is where security structures are strategically aligned to, like, mtu akiingia unataka inspector general akuwe mtu wenu na inaeleweka. Is this why?
That is why. 2010 we said independent kabisa. Police inspector general will be appointed by the National Police Service Commission, not the president. Competitive application, recruitment and everything. And then security of general. You cannot sack him unless you go through a tribunal. DIGs, the same. We had an independent police, first headed by David Kimayo, Arachi, and Grace Kahindi. Kimayo did not retire. He was forced out.
Okay.
Grace Kahindi equally. Remember, if you remember her story, she refused to hand over office. Sijamaliza muhula wangu. She was forced out. And then we... Yes.
Grace Kahindi ndio alikuwa mtu wa kwanza half term.
Ndiye alikuwa mtu wa kwanza half term na Kimayu. So wakati waliondolewa, this is when now these politicians went back to parliament with the 2014 security bills.
Yes.
They removed appointment of the inspector general. They said we cannot have a police service that is not answerable to the presidency.
So the politicians cannot operate.
They cannot
without manipulation of...
Hizi vitu zote unaona zinafanyika na polisi. People are complaining about corruption. People are complaining about brutality from the police. People are complaining about abductions. And hizi zote, a blind eye. No action from the executive, no action from the political class. Why? Because the police are a tool. Hizi pesa zinachukuliwa kwa barabara, wanaambiwa nyi chukueni tu, lakini siku ile utawahitaji, mutakuja. You will come in handy. Strings. Unaona? That is why ukiangalia in countries like Uganda, Museveni is using the UPDF. You go to Rwanda, Kagame is using the military. Yeah? In Kenya, we have a very professional military that you cannot involve in such kind of work. So who is available for them? The police. You go to a police station, unatumia pesa ya CDF kujenga police station. And national security is kazi ya national government. And this is why we are in trouble. And this is exactly what Natembeya was trying to bring out. Ya kwamba For us to forge ahead na mambo ya security, we need to have an independent police service. Mimi nikitumwa kazi, nimetumwa kazi because I'm going there to serve the people.
Okay.
I'm going there to meet a goon with a baton, yeah, ambaye ametumwa na wanasiasa. I'll deal with him vizuri sana.
Now,
because hakuna repercussions, hakuna political repercussions. But right now, you touch a fella.
Yes.
You touch a fella. Somebody will make a call. You'll find yourself in Turkana.
And I actually posted that I really feel for police officers who joined na spirit ya kuserve country na patriotism.
That is it.
You can't.
You can't. For me, niliingia kazi nikiwa na ile passion to serve. But when I got there and I realized these things are not working, I just decided to leave.
Back then, and that's an interesting thing to explore. Wewe ukijoin, una join na patriotism. It's not about hakuna job. It's not about I need to make money.
Passion. Mimi the third generation police force. I'm a third generation police officer in my family. My grandfather was there.
Ndio hao wa 1901.
Yes. My father, he retired in 1990. Nimeishi police line. Nikamaliza shule, nikaingia kwa huduma. Passion kwa sababu nilikuwa naona hii kazi vile baba alikuwa akifanya wakati ule, unaona? But when you get there, unakuja una realize, hapana. I cannot continue living like this.
I've met your family, I've met your son. Yes. Unaweza kubali aingie in the name of kufuatilia.
Big no.
Una break family nini?
Big no. Because najua ile kitu ataenda ku experience huko. You know, you join a police force ukiwa ni kijana mzuri. You get there, by the time you are passing out, you're a different person.
Passing out, au jaingia kwa system, kwa kiwanja bado. Kwa
kiwanja. Hata ukirudi nyumbani likizo, watu wakikuangalia hivi wanaona, huyu mtu amebadilika. Ile vitu unaenda kuambiwa pale.
Kuambiwa ama okay, ni kuambiwa kweli.
Unaenda the kind of training you receive is not a training that will make you an effective and efficient police officer. People get out of Kiganjo half-baked. When they get here, you see the kind of behavior they have.
What do you mean half-baked?
Look even at the uniforms right now, the issue of uniform. It clearly tells you we have an indisciplined service. Now, mixing of uniforms.
So you're tucking in?
Mixing. These jungle uniforms are supposed to be worn in what we call forward areas. Places like Northeastern Province, where you're going to deal with bandits. Places like North Rift, where you're going to deal with bandits. Worn by the GSU because they don't operate within towns. Mm-hmm. Urban areas, you're supposed to wear a people-friendly police uniform.
Jungle is not supposed to kuonekana.
No. Wewe unakuja kuniserve na umevaa jungle. Na mimi ni mwananchi. It clearly tells me, it sends a signal.
Kwa experience yako?
Wewe ukivaa uniform zile. Why? Unaonanga watu wa UN wakienda peacekeeping. What colors do they wear? Blue. We call them the blue berets. We come with peace. That is why uniform ya polisi, it's supposed to be blue in color.
Friendly.
Friendly. Kwamba mimi nimekuja hapa kwa minajili ya kukupatia wewe huduma. But mtu akikuja kukushika busaa na amekuja na jungle uniform, si wewe unajua tu hii ni vita.
Na did you get a chance ya kuingia kwa kichaka when you were in the system? Ama wewe ulikuwa desk officer? Na shauri moyo. Uliipata
kazi ya kwanza nilianza mahali naitwa Kibish.
Kibish.
Naitwa Lerimi Triangle. Naitwa Lerimi ama Ilemi Triangle. Kule Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia border.
Kwa 18?
Yes. When I left, I came to Nairobi kidogo. Nikafanya airport duties, chunga mandege, Elal, Pan-Afric, nini. And then we went to Boni. Hiyo Boni unasikia naitwa Boni. I served in Boni for 1 year.
Bana. 18 is just a baby bana. Nini?
Umefunzwa, you've been trained. 18, you are an adult.
Confidently.
Yes. So hauko peke yako.
What's the most difficult experience ulikuwa nayo at such a young age?
Then? I mean, the most difficult one was operating in Boni and operating in Galana.
So there's a difference.
Wakati Galana tulikuwa napigana sasa pale na poachers.
Wewe ni mzazi wa Gen Z. Do you see a difference between you at 18 and your son at 18?
Inategemea. Manake hii hawa Gen Z maisha yao ni tofauti sana na yetu. Because sisi tulikuwa chini ya mamlaka ya wazazi, na wakati niliingia kazi ndio kwa mara ya kwanza mimi nilijipatia uhuru. Lakini hawa Gen Z hata ulimkutana naye walijinyakulia uhuru the moment walianza standard 2.
Freedom fighters.
Yes, the freedom fighters from a young age. And that is now what is pushing them on the streets.
So now ukipelekwa Boni Forest, what's your mindset then? Do you enjoy it ama you thank God you survived ukitoka?
No, you don't enjoy. Unaweza enjoy namna gani kuingia ndani ya msitu kwenda kupigana na bandits? You might get out alive or dead.
Niliuliza and I think he had prepared for me. As a former officer, alikuwa GSU. Kama bunduki yake iliaiuma mtu akiwa nini. He was prepared for me. I don't know how he briefed nini. So akaniambia ameenda operation, unalala pande hii, wamelala pande ile, unauma, wanauma. So at the end of the night ama whatever the operation is, kuna watu watakuwa wameumwa but hautajua ni bunduki ya nani.
Ni ukweli. Ni ukweli. Utajua ni nani amepiga nani.
Asingekuambia hiyo story kwanza.
Ni ukweli, utajua dadi amepiga dadi. There was an exchange of fire. So in the morning you do a search.
Asingekuambia hiyo kitu.
When you search utapata mtu pale, lakini kuna ile kabisa mnapata labda nyinyi wote ni mtu ni mmoja. You all aim at that one person akiwa anatoroka.
So who will, to confuse the enemy.
Not to confuse the enemy. Kila mtu anataka
ajui atahaunt nani.
Kila mtu anataka kupiga.
That's a strategy.
It's not a strategy. It happens.
Nini wewe unani inaitwa nini hiyo kitu kuhaunt mtu? Wewe unani haunt. Mimi si kufinya.
It happens. Kwa hivyo utajua ni nani amepiga nani. But contact tumekuja in contact several times. That was usual. It was almost it's a normal occurrence ukiwa Boni.
There's a strategy niliona and this was in text. It's an article I read. When forming the special schools za kuuma watu, they avoid people from Western and Nyanza regions because of superstitions. Wanaogopa kuuma watu because these people will come back to them. Akisha wauma. Is that true? Could there be truth in that?
It's not true. It's not true because kuna watu ambao ile damu ya kuua hawana. People who think twice. Unaona? Especially when it comes to issues of illegal orders. The level of education plays a role in that.
Level of education?
Yes. You're not so hopeless kiasi ya kwamba you can do such kind of stuff kuua watu ovyo ovyo. You'd rather go home. Lakini kuna watu ambao wao hawana hiyo exposure ya life. So for him taking a life is not a big deal. Wametoka katika zile communities. For example, you take somebody who has come from North Rift where banditry is a daily occurrence. Utapata hata mtu labda yeye mwenyewe alikuwa bandit.
Some of them make it into the service.
Yes, they make it into not make it into the service. They are recruited like any other person. They are Kenyans. They're given that opportunity.
So there's a particular profile of someone who can be ordered aende aume mtu
na atauma without thinking twice.
And they will not feel anything.
They will not feel anything. Lakini kuna wengine wewe mwenyewe unajiuliza, what has he done?
You know, again, Africa Uncensored wamefanya documentary ya the people who were abducted. And one of them is a Twitter guy anaitwa Shad. Anasema we've linked the documentary Africa Uncensored hapa for wale watu wajaona. So anasema the police officers wao hawana shida. Walikuwa wanawaambia hawana shida. Like wewe wakiambiwa muachilie, watamwachilia. Wakiambiwa mume, well and good. Na it's not for them, it's not personal. It's just orders. Is orders such a powerful element, or it's just an excuse?
What I'll tell you without any fear of contradiction, we have people we call homeboys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they take it personally. This is our government. I have no stake in this government. I am independent. So why should I kill you? Ile vita unaona inapigana kwa Twitter na watu wakisema this is kabila, hii kabila. That is exactly the same scenario in the forces. We have people who believe that this is their government and they will protect it at all costs. Even during my time, that happened.
So, and that qualifies a statement.
So that is why when you go to pick, we call them the security homeboys. Wakati wa Kenyatta, we had people from Gatundu and whatevers who were in the service. Kina Mungai, who was in Rift Valley. Majama wake.
Kuna jamaa anaitwa Wanyoike wa Dhungu.
Wanyoike Dhungu. When we came to the government of Moi, we had homeboys.
Is that a necessary tool for survival for you to maintain?
For African politicians, that is a necessary tool, and they are using it all over. Look at all the African countries. And so this issue of homeboys is exactly what is at play here.
Unajua kuna mtu alisema ati, and it's a very philosophical thing ya kurationalize this story, there is nothing like bad people, just good people acting on wrong information. So when someone, the so-called homeboy, they believe in their heart that they are doing something good.
They feel they are doing something noble. They are protecting their government. This is, you see, hii vitu ya kusemanga, exactly what Wamunyoro was saying. Serikali ni ya shareholders. So you believe you are a shareholder. So whatever you're doing as a shareholder. Hatari ndio hiyo sasa.
And in this case, tukishafika hapo, there is no form of responsibility.
There is no form of responsibility. And that is why if you're an outsider, you're an inspector general who is not a homeboy, some things will happen without you knowing.
Kabisa.
Kabisa.
Hakuna cha power ati command nini.
Let me ask you. If Langat made a complaint, it looked like Kanja did not know. Normal way of doing things in the service is that me being my deputy and you feel there's something that has happened ambayo imekukasirisha, come to me, report, and then I'll give you direction.
Wachan na hii theory ya homeboy ni moja, it sounds plausible, but then kuna ingine ya, if you are approached, George hata wewe ukiwa kwa system, uambiwe uende uume mtu fulani, hauna option. It's either you or them. Nimesikia hiyo pia ni theory ingine. Ukiambiwa uende ume so and so. Let's say a politician gives a gig. Kuna mtu anafaa kuumwa. Na ushaambiwa. Ukikataa, you are a witness. Utaharibu plot. You understand?
Hiyo, it's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. Yeah? Issue 2 nimekuambia, and I repeat from experience, personal experience. Homeboys.
Can that be cured?
It can be cured if we have an independent police. That is why we had the 2010 Constitution, where you're not answerable to any politicians. You're only answerable to your commanders. And if anything happens, then the person to take responsibility is your commander. Look even at the deployment, wakati zinafanywa zile deployment. We have specialized companies. For example, wale wanafanya special duties like
yes,
guarding state house.
Yes.
A selected group of people, homeboys, ndio wenda huko. Presidential escort. Selected team. I remember in 1991, baada ya kupitisha ile katiba, ile kupitisha ile section 2A, zile kabila ambazo zilionekana not friendly to the government, wote walitolewa rec company, presidential escort na G company.
They recruit afresh. Because hiyo inakuanga ni watu wachache.
Si wanachukua watu wao sasa kutoka kwa these other companies na kupeleka pale. Tulikuwa na lori ilikuwa inaitwa ya clashes.
Lori ya clashes.
Tuliita clashes kwa sababu ilikuwa inazunguka kubeba tu watu. Na kuwabwaga. Kwa sababu umeanzisha clashes ndani ya unit. This issue of homeboys is very dangerous.
So how, sasa now this brings another thing. Ukiwa kwa system, na unaona ni division ya, kuna mapendeleo ama kuna feeling ya, okay, system imechange, nyinyi mnafagiliwa watu wengine waingie. How do police still maintain a united front?
It becomes difficult to maintain a united front. Even ndani yao, ukiongea na wao saizi, they will tell you.
They do talk.
They
But
don't
sasa
talk,
huwezi-
lakini they'll tell you.
They can't say publicly.
They can't say publicly. Kuna ile kupendelewa, na si ati ni kwa polisi peke yake. Even in the civil service, uingie TSC, uingie wapi, people will just tell you, hey, hapa siku hizi kuko hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi. And that is not how hii nchi itasonga mbele. Si vile hii nchi itasonga mbele.
Unajua, you're a smart person. If you had chosen to stay in the system, chances are ungeingia na ungepanda through the ranks.
Singepanda. Because that time, we were people from zile makabila zilikuwa zinasemekana ni watu ya Ford.
Tribalism noma.
Noma.
Sasa now this is another level.
Ndio hiyo sasa. Ukienda promotional board, yeah? You just kama hata hujaonekana pale.
And that can only be corrected by
there is a
independence.
possibility. Labda ningeraise ama ningebaki pale nilikuwa.
Na nani alikuchanua ukajua hakuna mahali unaponea inside the system?
Ni kweli unaangalia mbele wewe mwenyewe. Si unaona tu.
Okay.
The way things are operating.
Basi the greatest threat to national security ni something we don't look at as that sana. Ni hiyo tribalism too, like inside the system, because that's what breeds izima. Because unaona, there's a narrative now that has been, na imekuwa ikipik, just that on Twitter people have decided, like, no, you're not pitting communities against.
That is it. Hiyo nimesema mimi ni
Musaperi sasa.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Uchukue jina ya Kisaperi.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Usikubali kuingia kwa hiyo mtego.
Na ndio kitu manake nimekuambia hiyo issue ya Homeboys. Tribes were pitted against tribes. Not only in the civil service, but across the country. Waona?
Okay.
Na ndio tukawa na yale mapigano ya clashes. Tribal clashes in the Rift Valley, tribal clashes in Mount Elgon. Yeah? Tribal clashes huko areas za Trans Nzoia zikakuja mpaka areas za Wakisii. Those were instigated to suit a certain narrative ya kwamba kuna watu fulani ambao ni more equal than others.
Yes, and that means if that system is not sorted, this cycle will never end.
It will never end. We need to sort out that system.
Junamaanisha watu wakiingia waingize watu wao, homeboys wao, wakitoka, if the regime changes, when the regime changes, mwenye anaingia tena, unafagia wote,
unaleta watu wako.
And that will not kill ile element ya, we need our person
sasa
there.
Wale ambao wametolewa pia, wanaenda na machungu. Even this killing of protesters can be an act of sabotage. Let's sabotage this government. Look at it.
That's another perspective now.
Wana machungu hapa.
So if someone decides to follow that line of thought, inazamaanisha, if it's an act of sabotage, that's entertaining the thought that the government could be innocent. They have the wrong people in their apparatus. I'm not saying that is the... Ndio nasema, if you are entertaining that line of thought.
Yes. Somebody somewhere is letting it happen for us to suit a certain narrative. Waona? Yeah. Unakumbuka hata watu walisema walikuwa na narrative ya kwamba Westgate was left to happen. So that because of the ICC case. So that when these guys go there, those allegations were there.
Yes.
So equally, if we look very closely, this can be another act of sabotage, because I've given you an outline of how crowd control is supposed to be done.
Yes.
Where people will take responsibility.
Yes.
But why is that not happening? It's making the government look bad, both locally and internationally.
Okay. Tuseme kila mtu atabeba mzigo wake. Two things before we let you go. One, the issue of banditry is, I don't feel it anymore. Na hizi vitu ni kama zinakuanga na seasons. Kuna seasons unasikia terrorism tunadili na inaisha. Kuna seasons unasikia banditry kila mahali, cattle rustling, people have died. You understand? Is this by design first?
Banditry has been with us for the longest. Lakini ukiangalia zile areas za zamani banditry, it was a cultural practice. Pokots, Turkanas,
yes.
Masais, Marakwets, it was cultural. Lakini along the way tukaibadilisha, it became an economic activity. And then at some point now it has become a political weapon. And that is why it's very difficult for us to eradicate it. One, because of we have people who are involved in this and they're benefiting economically. And then we have people that are using this now to create division amongst the communities living in that general area. So every other time there's an intervention, you find it fails. Right now it's quiet because people are now eating together. But tomorrow when they stop eating together, it will come up again. Banditry,
it is by design.
It is by design. Not that we've dealt with it, not that we've eradicated banditry, no. And kuna kuanga na pia season. Yeah? There's a season. And if you want to kill banditry, you have to start with Dagoretti Corner, slaughterhouse. Hizi ng'ombe ubebwa zinakuja zinachinjwa Nairobi.
Nilisikia hiyo angolia, nilisikia hiyo angolia nyama.
Ni ile lack of political will kuimaliza. Unaona? Because now tunatoa focus from mambo mazito yale yanatuhusu, tunarudisha focus kupigana na bandits. So when Kenyans are asking so many questions, we divert their attention now by saying, hey, but kule watu wanauana, ng'ombe zinaibiwa. Yeah? Hiyo yote ni mambo ambayo watu wanakalia kwa vitabu chini na kuchora na kusema tufanye.
Na
look at the resources. Look at how Kibaki dealt with Mount Elgon, Sabot Land Defense Force. Once and for all. Shalimalizana nayo. Why? We call that military economics. Mount Elgon is the food basket of Kenya. So we let those guys continue like that. Kesho, it will be felt all over. Kitunguu inatoka Mount Elgon inaenda Sudan. Toka Mount Elgon inaenda Ethiopia. Natoka Mount Elgon inafika Mombasa. Equally cabbages and whatever. Yeah? We can put our money there. But if you look at North Rift, people say there's nothing. Ndio ulisikia anatembea anasema kang'ombe unakamua kanatoa maziwa kikombe nusu. So why do we put our money there? Haitarudi. What are they bringing on the table to the exchequer?
So to some extent hiyo scorched earth policy, acha tuseme hivyo, ya kufagia kila mtu, sometimes it helps. Sometimes
it helps, lakini sometimes it doesn't help. It backfires on the government. Look at the Wagala massacre. It did not solve anything.
Na the so-called unity yenye ilikuwa formed to deal with Mungiki, so-called, was that effective or not?
It was not effective. It was effective kulingana na watu because Mungiki walijificha na wakapotea. Unaona? But ukiangalia ndani keenly, it brought another problem. Wazazi ambao wamepoteza watoto, bibi ambao mabwana wao wamewawa. Unaona? And Mungiki, when it started, we could have dealt with Mungiki from the onset.
Na watu wanasema
right now, these goons we are using, we are starting another circle of uncontrollable militia. Because the moment you stop using them, where will they go? Now in the estates, we will start using them for security. Na ndio Ahiti ilianza hivyo, hizo gangs za Ahiti. Right now they're using rungu. Tomorrow somebody will become clever and arm them.
What's the ideal successful life of a police officer minus corruption? Hizo allegations. Like ukisema unafanya patriotism, how do you think a police officer can be best rewarded and na inaweza promote cooperation between the police and kuna beste yangu, and I prodded him juzi out of respect for his privacy juu ni mse yako job bado, acha nisimtaje. He came up with a very nice concept football matches between police officers and the community. Lakini it's a brilliant idea. Like niaje, like you get to interact na, but iko na flip side. ya I think there's a system ya polisi wanafaa kuogopwa, they should not be friends with people, or rather kama polisi wako na capacity ya kuwa friends na watu. You understand? What's the ideal success of a police officer?
You see, we need to look at the welfare of the police. It's bad.
True.
Yeah? But
Yes.
even if we look at the welfare, tuwape mshahara, tuwajenge manyumba mazuri, tuwape vifaa, yeah? The person,
Paul.
ni nani ambaye unaajiri kama afisa wa polisi? Ako na passion ya kuserve mwananchi ama ni mtu ameingia polisi kwa sababu hana kazi? I've been to the villages, yeah? The villain in the family, baba yake anasema wacha nitafute pesa hata niuze shamba hii mtu nitoe hapa akwe polisi.
Yeah.
Unaelewa?
Yes.
Ule mtoto kwa familia kusoma ndiye anasumbua, baba yake wenzake wanachanga, haongana huyu mtu aende akwe polisi.
So kuna vitu zingine ni net effect of that.
Ndio hiyo sasa. Ona. So we need to have the correct people in the service. People wale walizaliwa ukiwa na ile passion ya kusema I want to be a policeman. Kuna ule mtu usema I want to be a nurse. Kuna ule anasema I want to be a teacher. Na anang'ang'ana kwenda kuwa mwalimu. Equally, katika huduma ama jeshi, tuwe na watu ambao wao wamezaliwa wakiwa na ile ari ya kusema mimi nataka kuwa afisa wa polisi. Tuanzie hapo.
Akina Wanyama.
Getting the right human resource in the service. And then these other things will fall in place. Na mwishowe, we give them independence.
Okay.
Unless we do that,
Hatuna bahati.
Na hayo matatizo bado yako tu na yatakweko.
Okay.
Unaona?
Okay.
That is why every other person, Ruto aliingia akasema ile SSU nimeitoa. Akakuja akaform yake. Yeah? Uhuru alitengeneza SSU. Moi alikuwa na Special Crime Prevention, Kibaki Special Crime Prevention Unit. Moi alikuwa na Flying Squad.
Can a president operate without that unit?
He can. If you have an independent service, he can. Because why do you need them? Why do you need them? Unawataka wafanyie nini? These are crime busters. Wacha wafanye kazi yao kwa vile wanajua, wapangane. Unahitaji kucontrol polisi ndio ufanye nini?
Ndio nasema unajua it's almost accepted that president akona ka unit kake.
Ako ka unit kanatakana kawe under the control of the National Security Service, Security Council. If they are supposed to be used, lazima kuwe na mtu ambaye atatake personal responsibility.
Let me say something.
And in operations that are well known and planned. Not kiholela. You wake up in the morning, tuma huko. Even the deployment of the GSU, wakati wetu. Tulikuwa na kambi mbili hapo Ruaraka. Drive-in na hapa kwingine. But you could not walk from drive-in in uniform cross uingie headquarters.
Why?
Usionekane, musizoeane na wananchi. Kazi itakuwa ngumu.
You could not walk from drive-in uingie headquarters. Mfai kuzoeana na wananchi.
Mfai kuzoeana na wananchi.
So you are saying the police and civilians are not supposed to be friends?
They are not supposed to. Police and civilians are supposed to be friends by virtue of their responsibility and duties.
But
because that is why unaona why it's working in America, the sheriff system. Because wewe unapewa polisi katika kijiji chako.
Yes.
Kila mtu anajua ni mtoto wa fulani.
Yes.
Ukifanya corruption tunajua mtoto wa fulani.
Yes.
Ni mhalifu huyu. Na ni polisi. Ukidhulumu mtu ni anko yako.
Yes.
Ama ni kazini yako. So you are an officer of the law. Do what is required of you by the constitution and the laws of the country.
People of the contrary opinion would excuse themselves as we bring this to a close. Wanaweza sema, when you look at the police who are special units, they are glorified in movies. You understand? James Bond, just to give an example for lack of anini, seme kama kwa television kuna 24 Jack Bauer, mwenye he's known for getting results outside the law. Niliongea na askari fulani akaniambia ati like in terms of solving crime, ati we inherited a constitution that cannot work with the African culture. Ati there are things and sasa hii uta open mind. Ati there are things that ukishika mtu anaachiliwa, the law will not work. Unauma huyo mtu, you solve that problem once and for all. You understand? Police wakidecry like and in no way I'm in no way supporting hizo extrajudicial killings. Naangalia the context ya there is what is by the book and there is reality on the ground. Wale makarao ama askari wenye wanapiga hizo kazi wanasemanga it is the easiest way. Like there was a police officer alikuwa celebrated because of how many criminals he used to kill. Like hakuna yeye nini ama nini, anauma watu. And there comes your James Bond vibe, right? Are we also overstretching? Tumekuwa watu tumeallow hiyo tabia mbaya for so long such that tabia mzuri inatushtua in that tukipata ati askari anaua watu, you understand? Anaua watu ati inakuwa celebrated as ametuliza, amemaliza crime. There was a time police officers were celebrated kwa sababu ati askari akiletwa mtaa fulani anafagia watu.
Hiyo ni kitu ilikuwa inafanyika, by the way. And why was that happening? Because of failure of the criminal justice system.
Failure of the criminal justice system.
Yes.
Yes.
And such that mnapata kwamba you arrest George, tomorrow is out on bond. Na the sheria inasema vizuri sana. If this person is a threat to the public, the court si lazima imgrant ile
bail ama bond.
You can give those as reasons why this person should remain in prison mpaka wakati kesi yake itafanya nini? Itakamilika. And that issue of celebrating cops that were killing people started way back with Patrick Shaw. When Patrick Shaw was a
reservist.
A reservist.
Yes.
We celebrated him. He killed people and we were celebrating. He killed Wanugu. Not Wanugu. There was this guy called Wakinyonga. Kangemi.
Yes.
He killed other people and people were celebrating them. He killed Arudhi, who was a Gor Mahia footballer. He was celebrated. Yeah? And then when these carjackings became a menace, we brought in the flying squad. We celebrated them. Tough cops. Wakati huu hatuko tumechanuka, tunajua kwamba this is an illegality ambayo itakuja kutukula sisi wenyewe. After they dealt with those people, they now turned against the public. They became a tool of terror to the public. Unaona?
So are you saying
flying squad unajua hai?
So are you saying that when they did that with criminals, they were okay? It was wrong when they turned on the public.
Those criminals were targeted, as I said. We knew Wanugu was bad news. He had killed the people. Alikuwa ni kajaka mbaya. And how did the flying squad get formed? Wanugu and his team wrote a letter to the GSU. We had 3 officers, walikuwa rec company. They were assigned to patrol the town, and kina Wanugus knew. So they wrote a letter and told the commandant, these guys should get out of Nairobi within 3 days. In 4 days, their squad car ilipigwa risasi pale mlango kubwa. Kilonzo, there was Kilonzo, what is the name of this other guy? Maina, na Mkamba moja. Kwa naitwa
Kilonzo si ndio Mkamba. Oh,
walikuwa na Ndolo pia.
Yes.
Under fire, intense fire. Somehow they survived. And that is why when that group was declared wanted, and we formed now the flying squad to hunt them down.
Okay.
Now, but specifically, they were not supposed to be killed. Hunt them down. If you can be able to arrest, arrest. But those guys were unarrestable. They were armed and dangerous.
Na kuna kuanga na controversy over who really killed Wanugu ama ni Rasta, because inasemekana alimuuma sio huyo. Kuna kuanga na another story behind it.
Hawa jamaa walikuwa group of 13.
The hunters.
Team, the hunters.
Yes.
Out of 13, 9 hanged themselves. Yeah.
Out of 13?
Yes.
Na mmoja ni ule rafiki yetu mwenye hatuwezi taja hapa.
Ye ule hatuwezi mtaja ndiye amesurvive, bado yuko.
Yeye peke yake.
Yeye na Seronei. The rest hawako.
Why do you think that is?
Posthumous disorder. You kill people, haushughulikiwi. You kill today, you kill tomorrow, you kill the other day. Stress disorder. Ni ugonjwa. And that is why nimekuambia we celebrate these people because hawa watu had become a menace to society. Lakini hatujiulizi baada ya hawa hawa maafisa watafanya nini? Na unajua hapa Kenya we don't have those controls. Zile ziko majuu ambapo unapata a SWAT team.
Yes.
Ikikuwa disband, these officers are taken somewhere else to do other things. Here we just let them go.
Okay. Before we started this conversation, nilikuuliza kitu kama witness protection works in Kenya. Ukasema it works. Na nikakupea example. Bernard Kirinya, and the story is up there, and for those wenye wanapenda kusoma movie, there's a link ya huyo Bernard Kirinya, the story hapa kwa hii nini, like the whole detail. Bernard Kirinya aliumwa akiwa under protection. How do you say witness protection? Kuna mahali hawata kufikia hapa hii town.
Bernard Kirinya aliumwa kwa sababu he was not under, then we did not have the witness protection department in the judiciary. Haikukweko. He was under the protection of the NGOs. But right now, we have an agency in government that protects witnesses.
So the government can protect you from itself?
Not from itself. The government can protect you from the criminals. Because here we are talking about criminals.
Okay, what if criminals are in government? For example, let's say someone has put out a hit on you. The person is being investigated. Sindio? Ametumana uumwe. Na sasa we umeenda serikali. Ni kama kesi uko nayo.
How out of witness protection they operate independently. Wakikuchukua, not unless hata wao wenyewe wako na interest, they know where to take you. They even take you out of the country.
Umesikia hiyo disclaimer? Not unless hata wao wenyewe
wako na nia. Lakini kama hawana nia, it's working. And I have an experience of that.
So tuseme iko na limitations.
Shida ni kwamba we are talking about Kenya. We have constitutional offices that are not working independently from the executive. That is the problem. It's not only the Witness Protection Agency that will have that problem, even the judiciary. We have the National Police Service Commission. We have IEBC. We have IPOA. All the 2010 constitutional offices, they're not operating independently. So wakati tutapevuka kama inchi and then we remove the executive from government, how easy constitutional offices ziwe independent, we'll be correcting so many things. So many things.
Okay.
And one of them is the police.
One of them is the police. Yeah. Sawa. Nikiuliza swali lingine tutaendelea sana. So is there anything, by the way, you've done well for yourself as a security consultant for the services that you offer. Umekuwa busy sana mpaka sijui kama tukiambia watu tumewekea contacts hapa za kukutafuta kama watakupata for watu wanataka consultancy. Are you open?
I'm open. Kazi ikikuja kwa njia yote ile mimi inafanya.
Sawa.
So long as it's something legal.
Bas. For our producer wiki, I will make sure the contact details on how to get in touch with George's agency. George's agency. Sindio? How to get in touch with George's agency iko hapa. Hiyo link tumeweka hapa. So kwa hizo links tumewambia zote zenye tumeweka zimekuwa listed hapa, unadunga tu inakufikisha. So BSGroup inawasaidia na nini?
We do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
But basically mambo ya security consultancy, we do security trainings.
Okay.
We do close protection.
Yes.
We do private investigation.
Yes.
Electronic security. What we don't do is manned guarding. Manned guarding. Ile kuweka askari kwa manyumba hizo peke yake ndio tufanye.
Na mko na watu ukisema close protection, watu wako na bunduki.
They are armed.
Na you train people on firearms.
Yes.
Okay.
We train people on firearms.
Mpaka wa qualify aende apewe.
Mpaka qualify. Unapewa kwanza and then we train you.
Unapewa kwanza?
Yeah.
Oh, my friend Engineer Sami ako na duka ya bunduki. So mtu anaenda kwa Engineer Sami ananunua
alafu anakuja kwangu nampa mafunzo maalum.
Utapewa license kama hujafundishwa?
Unapewa license kama hujafundishwa.
Ai.
That is how it operates in Kenya.
Nisahau kuuliza engineer hiyo.
Unapewa license kabla una apply, unafanyiwa vetting. After the vetting, now you are allowed to go and buy the firearm, and then now you go to train.
Na hii Kenya, it is more dangerous to have that thing hata kuliko vile.
Afadhali ukae bila.
Yeah.
Because if they know you have, they'll come for you knowing you're armed. It becomes a threat to you.
Kenya is too unsafe that you'd rather not have a gun.
You'd rather not have a gun.
Okay, sawa, link ya kufikia BS group iko hapa. Iko hapa kwa description. Asante sana for making time for us.
Karibu.
Haya.
Asante.